Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Four Lads Rangers Midweek Live. Do you know what? We're in a good mood here, which is a whole lot different to Monday night, Kenny. We came off that show on Monday night, and in all honesty, we've spoke a lot about it since. We were disappointed, weren't we? Because it felt like it was grumpy. It felt like it was kind of negative. But sometimes you have to just call a spade a spade. But we've got every right to be jolly today, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're right. And we were disappointed in ourselves, you and I personally, weren't we? We just felt that it was a wee bit of a turgid pod. Not a huge amount of positivity or anything like that. But yeah, you're bang on when you say that, you're calling a spade a spade. So, and it's not very pleasant, and you don't feel it's something that people want to particularly listen to. But last night's vlog was much better. The thumbnail was a thing of joy and beauty, mate. Two baldy guys with big cheesers. So that was funny to see.
Yeah, Kenny and I actually spoke about the thumbnail from Saturday night's post match, and every time we went to change it, every single picture of Kenny and I just looked miserable. But last night it was completely different. All the thumbnails was us looking quite happy. So I hope people, if they watched the vlog, really enjoyed it. We had a great time filming it. It was a bit different. We had requests last night from Rangers that the people in hospitality sitting behind us don't want to be on camera and they don't want to be in film. So it was requested, could we do it? So the issue with that is we had to have it at a different angle, but then they couldn't see behind us. So it's a catch-22. We did our best, and the only time we kind of used it was downplaying at moments in games, but we did manage to get the second goal and things like that on camera, which we really enjoyed. But that was the reason why it was a slightly different camera, and probably why it will be in the future a different camera angle. So Kenny and I had a great time reporting on that. It was one of the best vlogs, I think. Definitely exciting, and there was lots to be exciting about, Kenny. We the manager spoke, and he made big decisions. Tavernier, Rask, and Danilo Dowell all dropped out, and big changes were made. Aarons went to right back. Jeffy come in. Lyle Cameron came in the middle. Ant-Man made his debut, and Cyril Dessers was recalled as their number 9. It's fair to say that all of them had really good games. But the balls of Russell Martin to make those changes, to first of all say this is what's required, and then, you either come with us or you're not going to be involved in the future of the club. And he made that quite clear. And the players that he brought in, he made the right decisions. He was justified by what he said.
He absolutely was, and the result and the performance proves that. But he was, by all accounts, he sat them down on Sunday and said, this is what's went wrong. This is why this happened. You're not running here. You're not running there. You're not doing your job in that respect. And he's rang the changes and got a performance that we've been kind of waiting on since he got here, since the Bruges game, where you could see a cohesion about our play, a bravery about our play, and a kind of, what would you call it, a kind of unity about the players that we haven't seen yet, where they all seem to work as one last night. And it was an exciting performance and fully merits the decisions that he made, because you and I had, as you said, we had discussed it with the other lads on Monday, and we were saying, well, it's all right saying these things after a match, do something about it. Well, he did, and it was a joy last night. It was an absolute joy to be up at Ibrox last night. I haven't enjoyed a game like that for a couple of years, mate. I've got to be honest. I just thought we were exhilarating at times, really great to watch, and it was a relief as well, if you know what I mean, because you're always a little bit apprehensive with the pies are lovely in the media room. I had 2. I had a Scotch pie and a mince pie, and a mince and gravy pie, and they were fantastic, Mark. Thank you. But it was just a joy last night, Stevie, wasn't it? It was great to be there.
It was. I had a great time. Listen, a really good time. And I was really pleased with Russell Martin because, look, for a very long time, we've heard managers come out and slate this team and talk about mentality, talk about the issues, talk about what they need to do. And then the next game we turn up and it's the same 11. So for Russell Martin to have the balls and go and do what he did, and he made big decisions, leaving out the club captain is never easy, regardless of what people might think or say. He leaves out player of the year Nico Raskin. He leaves out our number 9 and Danilo. And he leaves out Kieran Dowell, who everybody was saying would never be dropped and was his new favourite. So there was a lot said, but he made some ballsy big decisions and it paid off perfectly for him. And I think it's a really early statement from Russell Martin and what he intends to do here. This is my way. If you're going to come with us and be part of this, then you will do it my way. And I think you saw instantly, Kenny. I mean, we can talk about the players individually, and there was a lot of really good performances last night. But I think Lyle Cameron kind of summed it up. And we had a conversation on the way to the game last night, and I told you that I wasn't sure about him in the slightest. Wasn't sure how he was going to fit in. Wasn't sure if I overly was going to be impressed by him. But he was fantastic last night. Attitude and everything was really, really good. And he complimented not only Jeffy, but also Gassama on the left-hand side because he let them get free and gave them space. And he actually done everything that you would imagine Nico Raskin was being asked to do at the weekend on that left side and didn't do. So it's not a criticism of Raskin, but more of a praise for Lyle Cameron and his attitude he showed coming in, because I really thought that he was thoroughly impressive.
I thought he was fantastic last night and highly noticeable from the first whistle that the crowd really were keen for him to do well. The conversation we had in the car on the way up, you, Steve, you, Davey Edgar and I, well, both Davey Edgar and I said we thought he'd do well, and you didn't. You weren't sure. Look, it's one of those things that what he did, I just thought it was do the basics really simply and really well. Stevie, he just walked that line across the midfield, giving Gassama and Jefty that overload time and time again. So there was always an extra body there, and he just worked that side so well. And he got a standing ovation when he went off, and rightly so, because he was absolutely fantastic last night. He worked his backside off, and he really impressed me. But it's not surprising for me because I've watched a fair bit of him last season up at Dundee, and I thought he was going to be a good addition for us. And on last night's performance, if you can get more of that from him, he'll get plenty of game time, Stevie, because he was highly impressive for me. Actually, I thought he was one of our better players, and there wasn't a failure last night. So I'm not saying there was any, because I didn't think there was, but he was one of the better players on the pitch.
Yeah, look, I think I'm going to address something. There's quite a few comments about this, about the leaked team lineup, which first I think appeared on, what day are we on? Wednesday, so Tuesday. On Monday night, it was on one of the online Rangers supporters chat. Listen, this is how these things work, right? Players get team news, players tell agents leak it to absolutely everybody. I've been around this long enough now to know that's what happens. It's very rare that you don't hear the team news. So I think it's something Rangers as a club are aware of. They couldn't fail to be aware of it after the volume of how it was spread yesterday on social media and things like that. The old WhatsApp was going absolutely mental. So, yes, of course, for people saying, did we discuss it and are we aware of it? Of course we are. But I think the thing is that when we find out about team news and stuff like that, as we do and as everybody else does these days, we would never share it on social media. We would never highlight that. So that's something we won't do. But yes, we are aware of it. The football club's aware of it as well, and that's something that they will deal with. But that's how it normally happens in terms of how leaks get out. It's team players tell agents and stuff like that. So look, on that, it's not something to ignore. But I think, Kenny, it's not something that overly involves us for sure, because if and when we hear about that sort of thing, we would never share it and highlight it from our platform.
No, absolutely not. And we knew of it on Monday night, quite early Monday night, didn't we? And the team that was leaked as the team that was named last night, and it's disappointing. It's not overly surprising, as you say. It is what kind of happens, but I think, and I'm going to choose my words carefully on it, but it tends to be that perhaps as a player or two, maybe not overly enamoured with the decisions or whatever, and that's kind of sometimes the way it works, that they tell people they know, as you say, and it gets leaked, and it's disappointing for the club, and it's really disappointing for Russell Martin, because he won't want that. And the simple fact is that if we are getting to see that team line, then the chances are that your opponents will see it as well, particularly domestically. You know, that they'll be seeing that as well, and you don't want that. So that gives opponents when I say an advantage, a slight advantage, if they know what our team's going to be and we don't know what their team's going to be. So it needs to be sorted. How you go about doing that is quite a difficult one, because, as you say, it is kind of common practice. So, yeah, I don't think Russell Martin will be particularly pleased about it, and I don't think there'll be people at the club happy about it at all. However, it's a difficult thing to address fully, so we'll see what happens with it.
Well, yeah, but to answer people's questions, I thought it was worth bringing up because a lot of people had commented on it. Let's move on, though, and talk about last night, because last night, look, it should be celebrated. It was brilliant. There were so many good things. Rangers had two wingers playing. Tears in my eyes watching. Gassama, excellent for the first goal. The quality of goals actually last night was terrific. When you consider Gassama, the first, his movement to bring in Cyril Dessers, who at that point was really starting to involve himself in the game. He then feeds it through to Gassama, who tucks it away. The second goal, Ant-Man wins it back, plays it to Gassama. The through ball and the acceleration of the through ball from Gassama, the acceleration of Ant-Man, just perfect. Ant-Man then runs on, and he's fouled, and we get that penalty, which Cyril converts really well. And then the third goal was an absolute cracker. I think 18 passes, and we took our time. John Walker actually put something really clever up on X today. If you want to look at that, it explains the goal and why we didn't move and why we moved when we did. All about positioning and how players looked. I really liked that, actually. And then that through ball from Aarons was terrific. Ant-Man's speed, he looks up, delivers it straight onto Gassama's head. Goal of the night, absolutely, Kenny, I would say. But 3 goals, all of quality build-up. Yes, it was a penalty, I understand. But all of quality build-up and all of really fantastic moments for us. I mean, I was particularly delighted with the third goal, as people would have seen the vlog, would have seen me say, am I excited? Yes, I am very excited. But it was 3 brilliant moments, that's for sure.
Yeah, the first goal is an absolute beauty, and you know, you're watching it in real time, Stevie, and having had the opportunity to watch it back, Gassama does incredibly well there, but the wee pass through from Dessers from Cyril Dessers is so perfectly timed and perfectly weighted that the boys actually get the opportunity to take a touch, open his body, and just stroke it in behind a massive big goalkeeper. It's a cracking goal. The second one, the move itself, that kind of epitomises probably what Russell Martin's wanting to do, Stevie, where you've got Cyril Dessers taking centre halves away. You've got your two wingers literally linking up, and the tiny wee through ball from Jerry Gassama is fantastic. It just allows Oliver Ant-Man to just run right through, and I thought he was dwelling slightly on the shot. As it was, he's actually just trying to get it right across so that he can tuck it away in the corner. The boy gives him an elbow in the back. You get your penalty. It's a cracking move, and Cyril tucks it away with aplomb, I would say. It is a great penalty as well. But the third goal, you're right, is the goal of the night for me. It's so patient, as you say, but then that pass on a plate, right on a sixpence, you know, just for Oliver Ant-Man to run onto, and instantly, this is what I haven't watched it back again, Stevie. This is what I'm going to see. This is what I've noticed right away with these two pacey wingers. You've seen that centre half. I'm sorry, the left back. He's clocked very, very early. I'm not keeping up with him, so he's went away into the penalty box, allowed him the freedom to chip the ball in, if you like, because he knows he's not going to get there. So he's had to come across and try and go goal side. And Oliver Antman just stands it up to the back stick. And young Gassama, again, he's my new hero. I said last night, he's my man now. What again, performances aplenty last night, but that was the goal of the night for me. I thought that was exquisite, actually. Absolutely brilliant goal. Had us both up off our feet and going nuts, as we scored, because it was electrifying to watch. It was absolutely brilliant, and the whole place erupted when that went in.
Yeah, it was 3 wonderful goals, that's for sure. Kenny's a tie over. I'm going to put you on the spot, because I'll say one thing. Rangers were very good last night, but there was a slight disappointment, which I'll come to, and it's not meaning to be negative or overly, and I'll see what people think. But I just want to thank Big Rod, who's gifted 10 Four Lads of the Dream Rangers podcast membership. They were up for grabs, so hopefully people who got them will enjoy them. There is so much to watch, extra content. Interview with Jeff Holmes at the weekend about his books with Derek. That was really, really good. Focusing on 1986 and the David Holmes Revolution. And then we had our next big Rangers Years interview. Mark Haitley was on with me on Monday, which I'll put out, and the response to that so far has been magnificent. I think all the members have enjoyed that. I enjoyed it. It was one of the ones where I'm very privileged to do what I do, but to be able to speak to these guys, it was one of the ones that I walked away from thinking that was really, really great, and I loved it. And Big Mark thoroughly enjoyed it as well, so that's nice to hear. But so if you've got one of them, please check out. If you want to join the channel, you can for as little as 99p a month. It just helps us do what we do. It helps us cover, go to games and vlog and everything else from them. So we really appreciate your help with that. Kenny, I asked you, is the tie over? What do you think?
Well, it's never over till the final whistle goes, mate. But yes, and if you're being realistic, I can't see us going over there and losing by 3 or 4 goals. So I don't want to be too disrespectful to Plzen, but I didn't think they had a huge amount about them up front. I thought they were neat and tidy, but I thought they, by all accounts, is that the boy Silk, that they've just sold.
The midfielder that went to Leon.
Yeah, went to Leon for about 8 million. He's been their playmaker, and they might well have sorely missed him, mate. I don't know, but it was up front that they kind of disappointed me a wee bit. I thought they started quite well. They were trying to impose themselves on our centre halves, but didn't really get anywhere. That in part is to do with the fact that our 2 centre halves were immense last night, and particularly in Giga. I thought he was fantastic. So is the tie over? No, but it's as good as, mate. You need to go and apply yourself professionally and go and try and get a goal. That's what I would say over there, and it kills it off. But I genuinely don't see us losing by 3 goals and even having to go extra time or penalties over there at all. I genuinely don't, and it's not to be, as I say, dismissive or disrespectful to Plzen. I just think that we were better than them all over the pitch.
Okay, so here's my slight negative, and forgive me, this is not a criticism because I understand completely the context of it all. I would have liked to have seen us went for their throat a wee bit in the last 20 odd minutes. I think we took our foot off the gas. We really overplayed at times at the back, and we were a bit slower than we had been for the tempo that we set. However, I think we looked burst. I think there was a lot of tiredness in that squad, which I understand as well, and it was a fantastic performance. So it's no criticism, but I just felt like we allowed them to come on to us. I'm with you. I don't think there was any threat from them last night at all. I think it'll be different in the home game, but the more they'll have to come at us, and that should, in theory, leave space for Ant-Man and Gassama and stuff like that to go and exploit. I thought they were one of the weaker teams that I've seen at Ibrox, especially up front. I don't think they had much to them at all. In fact, the number 80 that came on, I thought he looked a lot better than anything else that had played. That's not to downplay the job Rangers did or criticise us in the slightest. There's a greed from me, which I apologise for. But in the last 20 minutes, I would have liked to have seen us just go completely for them. But then people will shout and say, Stevie, what if we'd done that and we'd let one in and won 3-1? So I understand it completely. I just thought that we became a bit slower, passed it about over slightly, a wee bit sloppy. Nothing to majorly write home about. The manager actually called upon it as well, Kenny, at the time as well. And that's my only slight complaint in what was a thoroughly brilliant performance, some brilliant passing moves. You could see what Russell Martin is trying to do, and really overall delighted for him. But the slight issue was just that last 20 minutes.
Well, if you recall last night, I'd said to you after about 25 minutes or something like that, I think this team are here for the taking. I thought we did really well to get 3 up. We noticed when we were sitting on the gantry that that Jack Butland was kind of dilly-dallying at times with the ball at his feet. That's not a slight on Jack Butland. I think it's just a case of the movement wasn't quite as zippy as it had been. I thought the two centre-halves started to dwell on the ball a little bit longer than they had been, so we weren't getting out quite quickly enough. And I think you're right, and I think Russell Martin alluded to it, didn't he, in the press conference, that he felt there was a little bit of fatigue. They'd played a lot of games and a lot of minutes in a short space of time, right at the start of the season, with an overload of information. So it's kind of natural when you're 3-0 up. And I said it last night again when we were discussing this, that it's almost as when you're a football player like that, I think there's almost a kind of do you stick or do you twist? And I think they kind of, to a certain degree, subliminally or subconsciously, I should say, kind of decided we'll stick with what we have and just keep it as tight as we can, which is, I'm like you. I wouldn't say I'm disappointed because 3-0 in any European home tie is a great result. However, I do understand what you mean, that they were there. If we had put it a different way, I'll put it this way to you very quickly. If we were a couple of further weeks into the season and you had Thilo Asgard and Mikey Moore and Egerman all fit, I think we would have went on to win by more, because you could have swapped things around a lot more. And that pace and that ability that you have to switch things around even earlier might have made a difference. Because if you think of Oliver Antman, what a debut that is. But I've at the end of the day, adrenaline's going to keep him going so long. Younger Sam has come in, and the last week he's had to play 90 minutes, stuff like that. But if you're, and to be fair to those two guys, just again quickly here, mate, you've seen it as well. See the amount of backtracking they were doing and helping their teammates. It was phenomenal. And if you had the opportunity to change that earlier, we might have seen a slightly different outcome.
We spoke about this a wee bit last night on the vlog, Kenny, but in reflection, man of the match for me was still and is still Nasser Jiga. I thought he was absolutely exceptional. He looks a Rolls Royce of a defender, covering, good on the ball, likes to take it forward and do what Russell Martin wants, which is use that space and things like that. I thought he was man of the match last night and really, really terrific. However, here's a fantastic plus for Rangers for everything. Lyle Cameron could have been man of the match. Oliver Antman could have been man of the match. Jerry Kusama was man of the match. Cyril Dessers had a real shout for being overall probably one of his best overall performances, getting involved, holding the ball up, bringing players in, his assist for the first goal, tucking away the penalty. So we had a lot of positives in our team last night. You highlighted a few as well, but do you change your opinion on man of the match and watching back and things like that? I'm still going with Jiga. I thought he was genuinely really, really great. He reminded me of a Carlos Cuela, Buguera type European performance. I thought he was that good.
Yeah, he was. He was absolutely outstanding, and so was John Suter. You know, beside him, I have to say that I thought the two of them were outstanding. Jiga would have shaded that over the two of them. Lyle Cameron, yeah, he did a great shout for man of the match. The one that really stood out for me in the 60-odd minutes that he was on was Joe Rothwell. I thought he was outstanding, actually, and really surprised when I seen some of the feedback online, and they were saying he wasn't as great as I thought. I thought he absolutely made us tick that first hour, and I thought it was slightly noticeable that when he went off, we weren't quite as dynamic. And I think he just does the really simple things really quickly and really easily, and he keeps that ball moving at a pace, which is exactly what Russell Martin wants to do. And you could tell if you have a look back, I seen it last night, that when he came off, Russell Martin really did appreciate his work on the night. But listen, you could look at the two wingers. You could look at Yef did a cracking game at left back as well. Max Aarons was very, very good at right back. There was just a massive uplift in every performance. But if I'm going for a man of the match, it's very difficult not to give it to Jiga, because I thought you said last night a Rolls Royce of performance, and it was. He just strolled about as if he owned the pitch, and it was cracking. And my son's actually said to me on the phone 20 minutes ago, half an hour ago there, that he actually thinks that might be the best centre-half we've signed in many, many years. And he was sitting saying, if we could get him full-time, buy him, that would just be amazing. Not to get carried away, but yeah, he was amazing.
I think that's unfair on Philippe Senderos, to be quite honest with you. But yeah, listen, really enjoyable performance, I think, all round. And yes, look, Plzen didn't play well. We kind of blew them out the water, Plzen, didn't we? So I understand that, and we will come up against bigger challenges. And the biggest challenge for Rangers now is that we have to go and do that domestically on Saturday, because these are the games that we haven't done it in. And last Saturday domestically has unfortunately been where we've kind of been at. So it's up to us now to make sure that that's a building block. Every game we want to see a wee bit better. Blue Bells, who is such a massive fan and supporter of this channel, says, can we please address Dio? Been banging on about this lad is not good enough. He's been appalling so far this season. Massive weak link for me. Diamandi, when he's good, is very, very good. When he's not, he can turn in performances that leave you kind of wondering what's happening. I think he needs to get a better level of consistency, in my opinion. I don't think he's a starter in this team under Russell Martin. I also don't think he's playing on a side that complements and suits him very well. He's a left footer playing on the right side. I'm not sure that works for him. I'm not sure he looks comfortable. However, Lyle Cameron is a righty playing on the left side, and he seems to be thriving out there. So maybe he's got a bit more to do with attitude and things like that. I don't think that Diamandi was terrible last night. I don't think he was exceptional, though. So it's kind of in the middle. He was one of the ones that didn't really stand out as such. Kenny, when Theo Asgard comes back, probably in about Christmas, we're going to have like strong kind of options in there. We're going to have a lot of players competing. The window's still to close, and there's another 3 or 4 weeks. There's speculation over Diamandi, over Raskin. There might be others joining. There might be players leaving. Has Diamandi underperformed for you this year or this season so far?
Yeah, he has. I don't think there's any doubt he has. But I'm a little bit more patient, and I can understand what Bluebells is saying, because he said this before, and I understand what he means. But I like Mo Diamandi as a player. I think there's a proper football player in there. However, in this system, he's when I say struggling, I'm not saying he's struggled, but he's perhaps finding it a little bit more difficult than others to.
I keep putting you off these comments.
You keep putting comments up there trying to make me laugh, mate. It's not nice. With Diamandi, it might just be him struggling with the system to a certain degree and trying to get used to it. But I can understand what Bluebells is saying, put it that way, because he's a good player, but he's not had a great start to this season. And we all know that in those smaller games, or those domestic games, those bread and butter games, if you want to call it that, he's not been a standout in very many of those. But in the bigger the game, the better he tends to play. I just think that what we you're at it, Stevie. Stop putting them up. No, it's not. It's a shirt, mate. It's a shirt. No, but it's a difficult one with Mo Diamandi, because do you actually genuinely see him getting a game? I feel like Andy Pandy now. When everybody's fit, is he going to get a game? Probably not, Stevie. And I'm going to go on mute and try and stop from laughing.
That's quite funny. It reminds me of the guy that was in, he's became like the internet meme, who was on the cooking show and he didn't win. And he was kind of like telling everybody to get out of his house for £1,000. What was it? What's it called again? The cooking show, where everybody called, I can't remember. But the commentator, the guy that's on it, is the best.
What Ready Steady Cook or something? I don't know.
No, it's the one where they all go to each other's houses and cook. Somebody will know.
Oh, come dine with me.
Come dine with me. That's it. And it was the guy, the meme. He had a spot on shirt just like that. When he was telling people to get out.
You're actually getting the piss out my shirt, man. Never wearing a shirt again in here.
I love it. I'm wearing a nice wee hoodie from The Famous, which is a brilliant website online, which I absolutely love. And I'm delighted to say I'm actually in a medium. So I went from XXL to a medium. It's amazing what you do when your life's boring and you don't eat Haribo. But yeah, get a hoodie like this, Kenny, from The Famous. It's very good. But let's move on. So much to be pleased about last night. One of the things that we have got is Telo Asgard, Hamza Egerman, and Mikey Moore to come back into this side. Now, people are asking where Mikey Moore is. Rangers have done everything they need to do. The registration process is now with the SFA. That's the point it's at. He's 17. It becomes a bit of a nightmare because he's viewed as a minor, which means it takes longer. There's a lot more checks and everything else to be done. I can't give you an answer of when it's going to be done by. Hopefully soon, hopefully by the weekend. But that's the situation with it, folks, for people that's asking what's happening with Mikey Moore. But Kenny, those options, we suddenly, 2 wingers, Mikey Moore. There's rumours over Finlay Curtis and that, which we'll come to and address them also. But when you chuck in Ant-Man, when you chuck in Gassama, I mentioned this morning a wee bit, our business on the face of it, and look, we're only a couple of weeks in, context to this is everything, but you've got a couple of wingers there for the best part of £5 million that really look exciting. We look like we've actually shopped well and done some good business. But when you chuck in the others that are still to come back, we suddenly look like we've got a lot of options going forward. And having seen what we're trying to do, the quality of the chances that we're creating, I think we only created 6 last night, really good opportunities, but we scored 3 and we hit the bar and we had another off the line. It's different from having 27 shots when 15 of them are blocked and stuff like that, which is a kind of false statistic. But when you get more options in there, the players I've mentioned, we're going to have a lot more, hopefully, moments in time where we're going forward and creating havoc.
Yeah, every single signing that we've made, whether it be in defence or midfield or attack, there's an upgrade. It's clear as you can see that there is an upgrade in terms of the capabilities of this squad all of a sudden. The Mikey Moore one is a difficult one because, as you say, he's a minor. He's only 17, although he's 18 this week, I believe, is he not, or next week? However, the transfer, across. As far as I might be wrong here, but I think it's not just the SFA. It's got to go through UEFA. It's got to go through FIFA because he's a minor. It's got to go through everybody and be okayed. So it will take a little bit of time, which is disappointing because you know as well as I do the rumours about him in training that they are genuinely this kid's jaw-droppingly good. So we're looking forward to seeing what he can do, because it's just an exciting attacking lineup all of a sudden that we have. Once you get, as you say, Tiro Lasker, Mikey Moore, Antman, Gassama, Egerman, if he's staying, Cyril Dessers, Danilo as well. They'll all have a major part to play. And
Lyle Cameron now.
And Lyle Cameron as well, yeah. That's along with the likes of Mo Diamandi and Nico Raskin, who are both perfectly capable. All of us, in terms of attacking. That is some amount of options, Stevie. And really exciting as a Rangers fan to sit there and see that all of a sudden, from literally having, and let's not bullshit this, from the for a period of about a year, we've had Cyril Dessers and Cyril Dessers alone. All of a sudden, you've got 8 or 9 players that are going to contribute massively to goals. And by the way, you said it there, but I want to put a special mention out for Cyril Dessers. You slaughtered him for 10 minutes yesterday. Absolutely annihilated that poor big guy for the 10 minutes.
Okay, frustrates me. I'll tell you why in a minute, but carry on.
But he was outstanding last night. That's as good as I've ever seen him at Ibrox, by the way. I genuinely thought he was very, very good last night. And if that's the type of performance that he's going to be capable of in a Rangers shirt under Russell Martin, I don't even think I'd be wanting to take 5 million for him, because it would take you a lot more, cost you a lot more to replace him. I must admit, he really surprised me last night, the way he held it up. And yeah, I thought you were terrible with him last night in the first 10 minutes, mate. I thought it was awful the way you were talking to him.
You're so full of shit. So yeah, I moaned because he got banged into on the touchline and he went down like he had been hit by a tank, and that annoys me because he's such a big guy. He's got the pace. He's got the power to stand up, and he takes a wee tap and he goes down. So it was doing my tits in, and I had a wee moan about it. And then, of course, he pitched in with a lovely assist, and there's Kenny's big smug face saying, "What were you saying about him?" So, yeah, I don't mind that at all. And look, I've given Big Cyril it tight, and at times he's deserved it, because it's not, I don't care about him missing chances. I really don't, because I want my strikers to be there to try and take them and get in those positions. What annoys me is not having the work rate and not having the desired attitude. And his attitude last night was absolutely spot on. He held up the ball. He moved for the team. He ran for the team. He was working the channels. He was holding it up. And I just think overall, that's the best I've seen Cyril Dessers. So I am more than happy to praise the big man because he deserves it. And if he continues to do that, then it'll be difficult for him to shift out the team. That's for sure. But Kenny, moving on, we spoke a lot about players that have kind of been mentioned. One player we haven't mentioned is John Sudter. Was given the captaincy last night. Spoke about his role at the club. Says he loves it here, loves this club, wants to stay. Everybody knows what the situation is with him. Where are you with John Sudter? I thought defensively, and I'll continue to say this, John Sudter against Panathinaikos was terrific. John Sudter at Fir Park on Saturday was terrific. Defensively, blocking on the line. Last night, really, really good. Here's the biggest issue I've got. He's quite a slow person on the ball. So when we're working it from the back and triangles and stuff, he's almost getting caught, and it makes it nervous to watch. And I think for people watching it, I think that it can become difficult on the eye. But I like him. I'll rephrase that. I like him when he's good because I know he's good. When John Sudter isn't performing, and I thought he had a poor season last year, especially from Christmas onwards, I thought he made a lot of mistakes. But when John Sudter is defending, I think he's a great defender. On the ball, I think he can do better. But I'm a John Sudter fan of trying to renew his contract and letting him stay, that if the deal's right for the football club. We definitely need another centre-back, absolutely. But I think that John Sudter and Giga have proved to be defensively quite good. Now, I'm going to qualify that. I know positionally on the ball and that there's issues. I know that, and I'm not downplaying that in the slightest. But as an actual defender, I think he's been really good for us.
Yeah, I like John Sudter, and I understand the stick that he gets sometimes, but I just feel that as a Scottish defender, you need a Scottish core in your team, Stevie, and he loves it here. You were at the press conference with me last night, as I say, and you could see it. He absolutely loves it here, and
he's quite laid back though, isn't he?
very, very, very laid back, and such a softly spoken guy for such a big guy, isn't he? You're like, come on, speak up, big man. But the thing I would say in defence of what you're saying there about him, looking slightly cumbersome when he's on the ball, is I don't think he'd look quite as cumbersome if he was on his natural side. And that's where I would keep him. I would actually have him there. I think we are crying out for a naturally left-sided left centre half. And I hope that we go out and get one before this window shuts, because I think that balance was there for all to see yesterday. And the more balanced it is, the better it's going to look. But if you're telling me that we're going to play 60, 65 games this season, and Ngiga and John Sudter could play on the right-hand side, where perhaps Ngiga is perhaps your first choice and John Sudter is going to play 30 games or whatever, I would love that. I would think our right-hand side is perfectly capable of doing its job to the nth degree. It's the left-hand side of the centre back situation that kind of concerns me. I'd give him his deal. If the terms are right for him, the terms are right for the club. I'm going to call this. I was in a podcast a couple of years ago, mate, and I said that I genuinely believe that John Sudter is capable of being a Rangers captain. Well, I kind of proved that last night by being the captain, but I genuinely think that he has that potential. It might be a wee bit older now to go and be the player that I perhaps hoped he was going to be for Rangers, but he is more than capable, mate, and I'd love to see him sign on for another 3 or 4 years. I really would.
Okay, let's move on from last night. If you haven't watched it, please go and check out the matchday vlog. Kenny and I reporting from the gantry. A lot of fun. And please go and check it out. We're actually smiling. There is a disclaimer in the description. It says, warning, this vlog contains happiness, which for us is unusual, but we had a great time. Let's move on, though. Some other news, Kenny. Raith Rovers have voted in favour of a link-up with Rangers, which will see Rangers being able to loan them up to 5 players at one time. There's obviously the situation where we have no B team as such. It's the under-19s. It's been shuffled about quite a bit. I'm wondering if we could see the likes of Young Hutton and things like that go down. Josh Gentles, maybe perfect position to send them out on loan. Mason Munn is went out on loan. We have Kieran Wright as a third choice goalkeeper. Mason Munn's already went to Dunfermline. I think Bailey Rice will go on loan. I've said this and I'll continue to say it. It will be later in the window. There is rumours of Finlay Curtis going to Kilmarnock on loan as well. The position with that is quite simple. If that's going to happen, I think Rangers would might like to bring in one more winger if they were to allow Finlay Curtis to go. And again, if that happens, the same as Bailey Rice, I think that might be later in the window. So I think we'll get a few youngsters that will move on. But Raith for me, would it have been my choice of club from the Championship? I'm not sure. But what they do have is a good support. You'll play in front of a couple of thousand every week if players go down there. There's an expectation of their support that they should be up the top challenging. The Championship's a hard league, so there's lots of room for development there. I actually like watching the Championship Friday night games, and that I really like. So there's a chance of your likes of your Huttons, your NCOs and stuff like that to go down there on loan. I would want Bailey Rice and Finlay Curtis to go slightly higher level wise. Finlay Curtis especially. If we loan Finlay Curtis to Kilmarnock or a Motherwell or somebody like that, I'd be quite happy with that. And that's no disrespect. I think he's in that level where he could go and play there. Finlay Curtis, if he's going to go on loan. Bailey Rice is somebody that I'd like to see top of the Championship kind of area. where he goes and plays. Wraith Rovers might be ideal for him, but Bailey Rice needs to play first-team football. I think that's vital for him. So there's a few options there, Kenny, but what do you make of this link-up with Wraith Rovers? It's been agreed now, just to reiterate, and we're just waiting on the kind of final announcement as such.
To me, it doesn't really concern me too much what club it is in the Championship. I'm kind of a believer that when you look at the overall standard in that league, it is very much of a muchness. There isn't a huge amount of a difference between a team that's sitting top and a team that's sitting 7th or 8th. Will it help our players? Yes. Our young players need to grow up to be men. It's what I think our game in general, never mind Rangers, has missed for a long time, is the way that the top clubs would loan their young players out, and those young players would get lots of game time and then come back to their parent club and be a much better player. It used to happen all the time in our game, and it doesn't happen quite so much now, Stevie, where the kids come back better players. And that's where I think if you can get that bulk move, if you like, where there's 4 or 5 of them going, and the kids know each other and they can grow together, then come back to your club. I think it's a brilliant idea. Wraith Rovers are a good club, mate. I hated them when that old Turnbull Hutton was there, but he's not there anymore. He's got long gone. But Wraith Rovers are a club that as you said there, they've got an ambition to get in the Premier League. They've got a decent sized fan base. It's up in Fife. They've got that game with Dunfermline, which is a cracking game to watch. I'm sure you'd have watched it last year. It's always a great game. And listen, I'm all for it in terms of getting a tie-in with a club like that. The only thing I would suggest to you about Bailey Rice is I think he's better than the Championship. Is he going to get a lot of game time in the Premier League? I'm not sure. It would depend on what club he goes to. So I would be, if you're going to be brave, if you're Bailey Rice, I would turn around and say, go and get me a club in League One in England, where it's a proper good league. It's a very tough league to play in, and see how he copes in there. Because if you can play in that league and do well, you'd come up here and be capable for us again. That's kind of what I would think. Finlay Curtis is another one as well. Clearly too good for the Championship, mate. Far too good for it. So we'll wait and see if that comes to fruition at Kilmarnock, which we knew of a day or two ago. But for the young kids with no B team, we need them to get serious amounts of game time to improve them and make them grow up as football players and make them physically stronger. And the Championship does that.
We have been linked today with a couple of players. First one being Carol Hine. He was on loan at Real Valladolid. Last season, he is the Arsenal Estonian goalkeeper, 23 years of age. Played 31 games last year for Real Valladolid. Conceded 68. 55 was his XG. So he's prevented 13 clear goals in that. He played over 3,000 minutes, 45 minutes per goal conceded. This is where it gets interesting. His pass accuracy is just under 87%, 60% long ball accuracy, and 2.25 passes to the final third and 5 progressive passes per 90. What does that mean, Stevie? What are you gibbering on about? It means that he's good with the ball at his feet, and he likes to play forward, and he likes to play progressively on the ball, which is interesting. He is somebody, now I know people will say 68 goals, Jesus, in 31 games. He's playing for Real Valladolid, who are not one of Spain's top sides. He's a very good goalie, Kenny. I'm not sure of the likelihood of this. He's worth about £2.5 million. Stats, of course, come courtesy of Kai Watson. I encourage everybody to go and give him a follow on X. He is at Kai G Watson. So we appreciate that. Kai lets us use his stats because me and Kenny don't understand how you make these wee graphs and all that kind of stuff. But he is a goalie that really interests me. A very limited knowledge. of football and stuff like that. He is one that has popped up. He's highly rated. He's talked about in scouting circles and things like that on X and things as being a really promising goalkeeper. He's got the stature. I think he's 6'3", young in age, good with the ball at his feet. Interesting to be linked, Kenny. We don't know the validity of it, if there's anything actually in it. Chris Jack hasn't knocked it down yet, which is always positive. He's normally 10 minutes after something comes out, as I like to tease him about. But that's an interesting one for me.
It is. And it shows you that we're still, if it's true, we're still in the market to sign another keeper. But Russell Martin has said that he doesn't want a number one keeper. He wants him to fight for it, doesn't he? So that's quite interesting as well, that he's perhaps looked at. I'm going to say this, I don't think Jack Butland will be the issue. I think it's more the depth that we have at this minute in time. I think it's not there, and I think he wants 3 fully capable keepers, and I'm not convinced he believes he has that. I could be wrong in that, but that's kind of my take on it. By all accounts, this boy is a good keeper. I've got to be honest and say I don't know very much about him, Stevie. I'm not going to tell lies. But, if you're at Arsenal and you're doing quite well and you're catching lots of eyes, you'll have something about you, because they don't have bad players at that football club, mate. So that's the kind of situation that I'm taking that from, to, is that if you're looking at that quality of club and that quality of keeper, then if we are interested and if we can get him and bring him on board, he will challenge Jack Butland without a shadow of a doubt. And those stats with the ball at his feet, that sounds again kind of almost exactly what Russell Martin's looking for. It's almost like that keeper sweeper thing, where you just keep it moving very, very quickly. And we've seen it last night with Jack Butland, that he said it himself in the interview last week. It's all about the decision making, but you could see it in that last half hour. It was getting slower and slower to make the right decision. Although he still made the right decision, it was just taking that week half second too long to do that. So if you've got a keeper that's going to just know exactly and be much, much more comfortable with the ball at his feet to ping it out left or ping it out right or play it up into the midfield immediately, then that's going to help with the speed of play that Russell Martin's trying to play with.
People asking about Mason Munn. Mason Munn signed for Dunfermline last week, folks, on loan for a year. He made his debut at the weekend and kept a clean sheet, I think, in Dunfermline's 0-0 draw with, I want to say, Morton at the weekend in their opening day of the championship. So Mason will go down there. I've spoken about Mason Munn before. Really good goalkeeper, shot stopper, but needs to work on, I think, his concentration. Needs first team football. I think that's clear. We've also today been linked with Nobel Mendy, who is a left-sided defender, complete left back or centre back. He played just 13 games for Real Betis last year. Again, this is not going to shock you. Good with the ball, 86% pass accuracy, 48% long ball accuracy, 8.5 passes to the final third per 90, 12.41 progressive passes per 90. This is a boy who likes to play with the ball at his feet and get it forward. 8.15 successful defensive actions per 90 and 3.80 interceptions per 90. So 65% defensive duels won and 59% aerial duels won. I don't know a lot about this boy at all. I think it's key what we're doing here. Everyone that we seem to be linked with is good at their feet. Now, you're taking a risk by trusting that I'm reading the stats out, because I think the boy was before right that I didn't read out the stats to the goalie right with regards to his goals prevented. But look, it's me. If I don't butcher something on a podcast, you wouldn't all tune in and watch it. That's why you do it. So I think this is correct, Kenny, but it seems to be that this boy is very good with his passing. Very progressive in his passing. I've got to be honest, I don't know a lot about him. He was linked today again. As far as I'm aware, it hasn't been shot down by anyone, but worth a discussion, I think.
Yeah, of course. If you're getting linked to a player that is playing in La Liga, that team got the Betis got to the final of the conference If I remember right, were they not 1-up against Chelsea at half time and ended up getting scalped 4-1 or something like that? If you're in that squad, mate, you're a good player. You don't get bad players in La Liga, you just don't. So I'm not going to sit here and say I know loads about it. I know nothing about this kid apart from what I heard his name today, and that's that. And I'm not going to tell lies about it. But the stats are decent, yeah. And we're in the market for a left back. We're in the market for a left centre half. He can play both, so it makes perfect sense. And it still, again, ties in exactly with the profile that Kevin Thirlwell, Dan Purdy and Russell Martin are looking at, which is young, athletic, powerful, taller players with a correct profile and the ability to improve these players, the capability to improve these players, I should say. And that's what kind of, if you look at the majority of the players we've been signing, that's exactly the profile that we've brought in. It's, are they capable of playing in our league right now? Yes. Are they going to become better in a year, in 2 years' time? Absolutely. And this boy looks very similar to that in terms of, as I say, the profile that he has. So, not getting a huge amount of game time. I've noticed that for Betis when I did a little bit of digging today. A lot of the substitute appearances, I should say. So, but if it was him and Yefty that were sitting looking at the left back position, or if he can cover there and play at centre half, yeah, all for it.
I think he's more of a centre back that plays occasionally at left back. From what I've read up on him, he was linked with PSV. I think that move fell through, so there has been interest in this lad.
He didn't get a work permit, is that right? He didn't get a work permit or something.
Yeah. I'm not overly kind of updated on what it would be, but there is an apparent interest from Rangers, so it's one to keep an eye on. Kenny, I will say one thing. I think when you see the effect that Jeffy had on that team last night, it's really important that Rangers do get a left back in. It's very important that we move on Ridvan and others from the squad, which we know. But I think last night for me kind of highlighted the fact that when we talk about key positions, I always said wingers were key for me. At the moment, you could address that with the three that they brought in. There's other options there, young Finlay and stuff like that. So we have enough at the moment. I really think left back now becomes key for me. Left back, left centre back, and then you can see where the squad looks. But for left back, given how much of a difference Jeffy made last night, and that he needs somebody in with him also, I think that left back now becomes kind of key position for us in that left side of defence. So I can see why they're being linked.
Absolutely, and it's almost like the opposite situation on the right-hand side, where you've got a 33-year-old right back who's done a great job for us over the years, but you need a younger model, and you've got Max Aarons to play at right back. This one's slightly different, when it's a 20-year-old, 21 year, I don't know if he's 21 yet, Yefty, 20 or 21, and you're probably looking for a 24, 25-year-old to go and be your first choice with Yefty as his backup. Is probably what you're looking at, and I think it is one of the priorities in terms of the balance of the side. You could see it so clearly last night, and you could see it last week when he came on in Greece, that the balance is clearly miles more suitable on the eye, put it that way, when you've got left-sided players on the left-hand side, instead of trying to force a right footer to play so unnaturally in Max Aarons, which is what he was trying to do for the first couple of games. And I understand that if he doesn't feel that Yefty's quite there in terms of taking the message on and stuff like that, but the balance wasn't right, and it was clearly much better last night, much better. And as I say, for me personally last night, that's as good as I've seen Rangers in a long time. So, get the left back in.
Yeah, on a positive, I thought we were great last night. Look, Russell Martin said it's going to get better, and we will get more fluent. We will get better on the ball. We will get better in attack. So all of that's been, it was music to my ears, in quite all honesty. I thoroughly enjoyed it last night. I'm looking forward to Saturday again. But Saturday's one of these games. Dundee, I watched them against Hibs. Dundee didn't press Hibs in the slightest. They didn't even try and go forward when they were 2-1 down. So I found that hugely interesting. Yeah, so we go on and we look forward to Saturday, but we'll review that. We'll be back Friday night with the live show then. Folks, thoroughly enjoyed speaking to you for the last hour. Huge thanks to Bluebells and Big Rod, who gifted 10 earlier in the show, but Bluebells has gifted our 5 podcast memberships. What do you get in a membership? I've seen people asking, first of all, how do you do it? Go onto the YouTube homepage of 4 Lads of the Dream, and it says you can subscribe, which I hope people will do. It's free. We've got over 9,100 subscriptions now, which is really great for us. It really helps us, and it helps us grow. When we go and ask people to come and do interviews and we go and try and get that content, it really helps us grow, and it helps us be able to attract those people. So thank you if you've done that. If not, it's free. Please do that. With regards to becoming a member, it just says click to become a member, and you can join the podcast, and it's from as little as 99p, and you're supporting us. You get access to our extra interviews, you get access to extra shows. There is also the option of watching these podcasts for all members as being ad free and stuff, which people ask for. So there is a lot of additions just for as little as 99p, which I hope you will consider joining up. If you do, delighted to join. I think the membership now is well over 500, which we're absolutely delighted with, and that's been a lot of people trying it and staying and things like that. So really appreciate it. Really appreciate everyone's support. As I said, if you haven't, please do like and subscribe. It's free, and we really appreciate that. Kenny, thank you, mate. Great night last night on the vlog, and it's nice to have you dressed up coming on this evening as well.
Thanks, mate. I feel like Andy Pandy, as I said. No, listen, thanks very much for last night. Thanks for coming to pick me up and take me a tour around Scotland to pick Davy Edgar up, and then take me a tour in the pitch black at 90 mile an hour, mate. It was terrifying. And it was a brilliant night. Great night at Ibrox, mate, but I thoroughly enjoyed your company, and Davies too. It was a fantastic night. And we'll see you Friday.
We will indeed. Folks, thank you very much for joining us. Huge thanks to our sponsors, Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions, CSD Air Conditioning, Black Rooster, and our partners at Black Rooster and Art of Gold. We really appreciate it. Please ignore Kenny. It wasn't 90. It was a maximum 70. I am a stand-up member of the community and would never do anything like that. And it was a perfect drive home, and everybody was delighted. So please ignore Kenny.
And we didn't nearly die at all at one point when you were fixing something. No.
Absolute nonsense from Kenny. Don't listen to him. On that note, folks, thank you everybody for joining us. Have a great night. We'll be back on Friday evening with a live show. Most likely 7 o'clock, 7:15, wherever it is we get the folks together to go. We'll be delighted to see you all there, folks. Thank you for your support. Thanks everybody watching. 2,500 all over. All the podcast channels, YouTube, X, everything is absolutely fantastic. So thank you very much. Have a good evening. Take care. Bye for now.
The Four Lads podcast is sponsored by Rhino Express, Clydeview Joinery, Athol Industrial Solutions Limited, and CSD Air Conditioning, in partnership with Black Rooster and Art of Gold. Thank you for listening to or watching the podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.